So a very good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. We are very happy to have you all here today. Join us for the third session of our AI in Impact Measurement webinar. It's been quite a journey with a lot of insights from the first session to the second session. Very good insights coming from there. So we're very excited that you would take time to join us again today. We have our speakers today in the house already, so very soon I'll give it up to them so that they can present what they have for us today. But before we get into the presentations, just let us know in the chat where you're joining us from and your name. Would like to hear from you. If you have a question already about ethics, we're talking ethics. Those conversations that we need to have, those honest conversations we need to have about AI impact measurement. So would like to hear from you. Let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. Let us know your thoughts on ethics. Let us know your thoughts. Would like to really hear from you. So thank you so very much again for taking time to join us. So like I mentioned in the session, we're basically talking ethics. So we are going to talk about bias. Are we able or should we trust AI in impact measurements? Those are some of the conversations that we wanted to talk about. Are we able to have AI that is trustworthy? We deal with data from people. So we wanted to know, is this tool, are these tools that we can trust? Is AI something that we can trust? Is it trustworthy? Is it ethical to use it? So let us know what to think in the chat section. If you have any question, put it right there, so that you can be able to also hear from you and engage. We want it to be as engaging as possible. So I encourage you to just, if you have any comments while the session is going on, please let us know in the chat and we'll be able to say it out. Without further ado, I would like to introduce myself as well. My name is Noemi Apiri. I am joining you all the way from Luanda, Angola. I'm very excited to have you all here. I have with me Laura and I have with me Yao, the CEO for Rural Census. So I would just like to let Laura introduce herself. Laura, please take it up and just introduce herself.
Thanks, Noelia, for welcoming me and also for having me here. I'm very happy. Hi, everyone. So my name is Laura Gagliardone, and I'm joining from New York. I currently work for UN Women headquarters here in New York. I've been working for several UN agencies on different areas of work, such as AI, real-time data, child protection, gender equality, counterterrorism, prevention of violent extremism, and also sustainable development. So very happy to be with you today, and I hope it will be, a very engaging and participatory conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Yao, please, would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Yes, also just making sure you can all see the screen with the title of the webinar.
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. So hi everyone, I'm Yao Levy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Rural Census. In the past 10 years, I've been working on the intersection between technology and community. And most recently, in the past 7 years, I'm working on tools for impact measurement, monitoring and evaluation, and learning, and all of those different definitions that at the end come to say, how can we examine if what we do is actually working, if our good intentions are actually bringing a good impact. So this is me, and really excited to be here with you all.
Yeah, so we have people joining us from Ecuador, from UK, from Rwanda, from the Philippines, from Israel. You are all welcome to our third session. There on your screen, you can see that we have a QR code. Please scan it and just let us know, answer the questions that are in that survey. Would like to hear from you what to think about ethics in impact measurement. So please just go ahead and scan the QR code. And before, as we just go ahead, as you are scanning and answering those questions, we want to keep it short today. I would like to say that our session will go for 1 hour in terms of presentations and Q&A. If there's need for us to continue the Q&A session, we'll give it a few more minutes. For those who are able to continue, you can stay ahead. But if those want to jump off at the 1 hour, you can also jump off and we'll be able to send you the recording later on after the session. So without further ado, let me take it to Laura.
Thank you very much, Noemia. Are you going to share the screen? Yes.
Yes, just moving here.
Okay, perfect. So again, thank you so much for having me today. I'm very excited for this conversation. And today I would like, I'm not going to speak on behalf of UN Women, but I would like to share with you some quick tips to assess the risks of AI applications, focusing on data privacy and ethical considerations. Next slide, please. So what is artificial intelligence? I would like to provide you with a little bit of a recap on the definition. So it may be defined as intelligence, perceiving, synthesizing, and processing information demonstrated by machines as opposed to human intelligence. Artificial intelligence adapts to meet users' needs by analyzing usage patterns across diverse data sources or general guidelines within a vast information landscape, and undertakes tasks which require human intelligence, including, for instance, visual perception, speech recognition, and language translation. But it's not a new phenomenon. Now we are hearing a lot about AI technologies, but it's not new. Actually, it has been utilized for over 30 years. However, recently there has been a surge of interest from multilateral organizations, governments, but also security and law enforcement agencies, academia, and the private sector in integrating AI into operations, into evaluation, and also, in monitoring. But despite the operational benefits, AI applications actually pose some risks. So next slide, please. So what is the issue? What are the risks that the utilization of AI poses? So I would like to present a list of those risks. So first of all, bias and fairness. AI can in fact inherit biases from the data they are trained on, leading to unfair outcomes. Then data misinterpretation. AI may actually misinterpret data or produce misleading results if the input data are flawed or the algorithm is not properly designed. Privacy concerns. AI may process sensitive personal data, raising concerns about privacy violations and unauthorized access. Security vulnerabilities. AI could be vulnerable to hacking. So here there is a security component leading to data breaches or manipulation of evaluation results. Ethical dilemmas. AI may raise ethical dilemmas such as the use of surveillance technologies. So basically the big brother that is watching on us, right? Or the potential for discrimination in decision-making processes. Reliability and robustness. AI may lack reliability or robustness, leading to errors or failures in evaluations. And also the over-reliance on technology. So these could lead to a diminished role for human judgment and oversight, potentially undermining the quality and credibility of evaluations. Next. No, the previous one. Yes, so what are some examples of AI applications for development experts? So we all know about web search engines like Google Search. There are also generative or creative tools such as ChatGPT, Claude AI, and others, remote sensing and unmanned aerial vehicles, big data analytics for trend and correlation analysis, blockchain technology for transaction tracking and enhanced resource allocation accountability, computer vision, including aerial photo analysis, natural language processing or NLP for textual data analysis, and machine learning for large dataset analysis. Today, I would like to feature one of these AI solutions. This is Ada, and is the artificial intelligence for development analytics. It was produced by the United Nations Development Program Independent Evaluation Office. So Ada cuts straight to the evidence, and it's extremely helpful for developmental specialists to actually search reports and also papers, studies among over 6,000 UNDP evaluation reports. So to start, you can simply type in the research and search by keyword or SDG for those who are familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals, location or topic. And these would certainly not be possible without AI. Next. So AI applications can also be targeted to security and law enforcement experts. So there are specific utilization of AI applications and technologies. So for instance, for data management capabilities, for processing and categorizing information and monitoring dataset access, predictive analytics to analyze emergencies and threats, aiding in risk management and the development of early warning systems. So this is extremely important to predict what could happen in the future. Risk mitigation through AI algorithm, identifying behavior patterns related to past incidents, and also fraud detection using machine learning models focused on text mining, social media analysis to understand what, for example, what news are true and what are fake news, and also database searches to reduce fraud threats and streamline financial processes. So this slide is a model which I have conceptualized with the hope to support organizations in assessing the risks of AI applications. So AI technologies have a great potential, but it's also good to be prudent. So I think that, this simple model conceptualizing 3 steps might provide some useful tips. So the steps are framework analysis, data collection, model development, and then monitoring and evaluation that is cross-cutting throughout the other 3 steps. So now let's look at the first step together, the framework analysis. It's very important to review the existing legal frameworks and regulations related to AI in your country. Whenever you want to embrace AI technology and you want to implement some AI applications within your organization, AI projects should comply with the relevant laws, regulations, and ethical guidelines. It's also important to identify regulatory and reputational risks for your organization, conduct a risk assessment based on current frameworks, trends, values, future goals, and objectives, and use it to determine what data you need to collect and how you want to analyze them and process information. Something that I really emphasize is the importance of involving different stakeholders in the risk assessment process, such as AI developers, domain experts, policymakers, and end users since the beginning, because they are not only serving as a reference group, but they, whenever they are embedded in your operations, they can also take ownership of the AI technologies and applications. So I've also suggested a guiding question for further reflection on the first step, and is the following: what are the frameworks, rules, regulations, values, and future goals and objectives of your organization? So the second step is on data collection. It's important to choose the data sets which are suitable for the AI model processing and which ones you may want to discard. Plan where you can find reliable and quality data. Remember to check the data quality, integrity, and readiness. In fact, choosing the right data sets influences the quality of the results and outcomes. Some ethical considerations to keep in mind are the importance to address issues related to AI fairness, transparency, accountability, and responsibility, and consistently evaluate privacy and security to avoid data breaches or invasion of privacy. The guiding question, which I would like to propose, is: are these the right data sets for a potential AI application? And what are the ethical considerations for your organization? The third step is the model development. So you may want to consider whether the AI tools you are planning to utilize can concretely help monitor and evaluate your impact. And also keep in mind to review any regulatory limits on how AI can be used for certain processes. So this implies ethical considerations. Assess of AI will help your organization advance implementation, promote awareness about AI risks within the broader community discussions about development and deployment of AI systems. And also, of course, consider costs and the benefits for your organization and the sustainability of the utilization of AI to conduct evaluations. So the guiding question is this AI application suitable for your evaluation? It's very important also to make an investment and also keep in mind that you want it to be sustainable in the long run. So finally, the last step is the monitoring and evaluation step. The implementation and the use of AI must be constantly monitored, evaluated, and adjusted. It's critical to consider the changing needs of the organization, the possible also drawbacks that this technology may present, and the global landscape where you are operating. Evaluate the potential impact and the likelihood of occurrence. And it's important to use evaluation findings and recommendations to prepare a catalog of lessons learned and good practices on AI applications. I'm a big fan of documentation. So for any institution to grow and to learn, it's important to build capacity and also institutional memory. So I strongly suggest to have this catalog and to document the good practices, but also the lessons learned. So the guiding question for this specific step is the following. Is the AI application effective, efficient, impactful, and coherent with the values, goals, and objectives of your organization? Next. Yeah, so talking about inclusiveness and also biases, I would like to propose 5 steps to more inclusive AI systems. In fact, AI can be used to reduce, and this is the good thing, but also to perpetuate, unfortunately, the gender biases and inequalities in our societies. So Zinia Del Villar, Director of Technology, Data and Innovation at Data Pop Alliance, recommends 5 steps to make AI inclusive, which I think that they are very important. The first one is using diverse and representative data sets to train AI systems. These will certainly reduce biases through triangulation. The second step is improving the transparency of algorithms in AI systems. The third one is making sure AI development and research teams are diverse and inclusive to avoid blind spots. So it's very important to have teams with different expertise. For instance, AI experts together with monitoring and evaluation experts, program managers, coordinators, and so forth. The fourth step is adopting strong ethical frameworks for AI systems, and finally, integrating gender-responsive policies in developing AI systems. This would hopefully minimize and help us reduce gender biases and inequalities in our societies. Next. Yeah, so the key takeaways I would like to share with you today are on the AI impact. So AI enhances evaluations and operations by analyzing data and informing decisions across various sectors. So it has enormous potential to do so, but presents some risks, such as biases, privacy concerns, security vulnerabilities, and others, which I mentioned earlier in my presentation. But the good news is that there are mitigation opportunities. So to address risks, it's fundamental to implement ethical protocols, monitor AI performance, and maintain human oversight. So with this, I would like to thank you for your attention. And if you have questions or insights, even after this presentation, please feel free to reach out to me. And I would like also to invite you to access the evaluation insight 2 pages, which I produced for the Eval SDGs network, which is a network of evaluators and developmental specialists from all over the world. So thank you so much, and over to you, Noemia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura. You know, I like the fact that you gave us the best practices. From the meetings that we've had so far, I know the most important question for many evaluators is it ethical, you know? Like it can do a lot of good stuff. It can reduce, time in data collection. It can help us analyze, data in real time. But the question is, with all these good things that AI can do, can I trust it? Is it ethical? That is what is going on in most evaluators' minds. And I think we need to know where we draw the line. There's this group that is very, very conscious. And then there's this other group that is curious and it is experimenting. Then there's this other group that is just like, it's a no-go area for me. But then if it can do a lot of good stuff, my question always is, why do we have these 3 groups? Where are we missing it? Is the information out there? Do people have the information? So I like the fact that you give us, the best practices when we are conducting evaluation and we are leveraging AI. Just one comment I would like to hear from you, either from Yao or from you, Laura. I know there is no AI without data. So for these models, they were trained with data. My question is, a lot of people think, okay, for instance, I'm in the global south. So were these models trained with data from the global north? Does that, increase the gap, or does it bridge the gap? How do we deal with that? So I don't know if Yao, you'd like to go, or maybe Laura. Any of you can make a comment on that one.
Laura, please.
Yeah,
you
I
the
can
floor.
share a few words. Yeah, that's a great point, actually, Noemia, and that's also part of the biases and inequalities, which I have briefly touched upon, right? So, working for UN Women and also for UN United Nations in general, we take ethical considerations into account, and also the biases and inequalities. So it's always important whenever you use AI to make sure that you leverage different data sets. So these can hopefully reduce biases. So for instance, if some data sets have been trained for a long time just to get data on men and boys, for instance, or only on some particular groups of people, while other vulnerable groups, or because of circumstances, because they are in rural areas, these groups were not included in the data sets, then that's why it's important to utilize other data sets, right? So different sources trying to verify the quality of these sources and then triangulate these data. So AI, remember, is only a tool and is not a goal, right? So we wanted to use it for triangulation. For instance, in evaluation, we also use it to identify the various challenges and perhaps also to prepare the recommendations based on those challenges. But you may want to maintain human oversight on that, because sometimes you will, receive, yes, different, very inaccurate responses from AI, so it's a kind of funny to see how some of these technologies sometimes fail, right? They can also misinterpret some data. So it's a very, very important point that you raised, and also in terms of gender disaggregation. So at UN Women, we also want to include the women and girls in the picture. Sometimes, as we all know, there are not sufficient data, reliable data, especially from the global south, on women and girls. So we need to take that into consideration and perhaps triangulate these data with different sources, such as focus groups, interviews to the local people, or like other types of data sets that you may want to utilize during the evaluation or monitoring process. I hope this makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. I'm sure it answers a lot of questions that many evaluators like me have in terms of, AI and, when you're talking about bias, when you're talking about inequality, all of us do not want the gap between the haves and the have-nots to increase. We actually want to bridge the gap. So the inequality is what most of us are concerned about. So I like the fact that we can, triangulate the data that we have and also use other sources when we are using AI. So before we go on to the next presentation, I would like us to just do the first poll. Please take some time and just answer those two questions for us. And I think one of them is, how concerned are you about AI bias? We want to hear from you. How concerned are you about it? Or maybe you're not concerned at all. Like I said, we have three types of people in the spectrum: the curious, the conscious, and the ones just in between. So let us know in the poll what you think about those two questions. And as we move forward, I would like to.
Noemi, I do have a question while people are answering the polls. Another question to Laura.
Okay.
Since you're working in UN Women, which is like part of the UN, where do you see the responsibility of multilateral organizations like the UN or others in relations to this all of these risks, as opposed to the private sector or other non-profits? What's the responsibility of the UN, you think?
Well, thanks for the question. First of all, I want to make sure that you all know I'm not speaking on behalf of the organization, just
Yeah.
But yeah, so in my experience, I've been working for the UN for a long time, and then now with the UN Women. So first of all, something that is very important for us is advocacy, right? So whenever we advocate for, for evaluation or monitoring, we also make sure that ethical considerations and the reduction of bias and gender equality is in the picture. So it's the UN, as you know, like is a big advocate for that, right? So we are trying to amplify voices, and without any discrimination, we would like to, to bring all together all stakeholders. And we are multilateral, but it's very important to work together with partners, being government entities, private sector, and also academia, research institutes. So of course, private sector, they or other organization might have a more like a, let's say, a narrow focus, because they may be focused only on a specific area of work, or while we are trying to cover the globe, right? So it's like we understand that we will have to involve multiple voices. So something that is important for us is bringing all these stakeholders together, which I've also mentioned not only in the process, so AI developers and users, everybody, but also in conferences or in a global fora, right? So another important point from a multilateral perspectives is the policy development. So we are hoping with our work also to influence the policies in the right direction. So making sure that the gender equality, for instance, is included in the various policies for AI. Or also that, again, like there might be a UN agency works on different areas of work, but we all work on AI, right? So whenever like other agencies working more on the security matters, they may be more concerned about, data breaches, making sure that data are not hacked by, the wrong hands. So, and altogether, we are trying to make this AI is a secure and safe field space. In this regard, I would like to share a couple of suggestions. I have to read my notes because it's a long title. So the one is that maybe the audience might be interested in is the United Nations Evaluation Group, Ethical Principles for Harnessing AI in the UN Evaluations. It's a resource which was shared in this year, so 2025. The second one is the final report of the high-level advisory board on AI. So at the UN, there is an advisory board on AI, so bringing all these stakeholders together. And also there is another paper which was produced in 2024, so last year, on governing AI for humanity. So these papers might provide some some ideas and some insights on how to manage AI processes. I hope I've answered your question.
Absolutely, yeah, more than what I expected. Definitely, you're the right person to talk about those things. Thank you so much, Laura, for being with us, sharing with us your experience and with everyone. So now maybe it's a good time to share the poll, the results of the poll.
Sure.
So can you see it, everyone? Is it
Yes.
present? Cool. So first of all, about how concerned are you about AI bias in impact measurement? You see there's a big portion of the people that are either very concerned or somewhat concerned, and even 14% that are extremely concerned. And only 7%, 2 people from our participants today that are not concerned at all. So I don't know if it's good news or bad news that people are worried. It's definitely good that people are aware of the of the risks, because that's the first step in mitigating them and making the most out of them. So thank you everyone for answering. I see 100% of the participants answered. Thank you for being active. And then the second question, what do you think is the biggest ethical risk of using AI in mail? And the biggest majority, 44%, are talking about data privacy breaches. After that, AI replacing human judgment. And only very few people are concerned about the accessibility and inclusivity challenges, and a little bit more about bias in algorithms. Laura, maybe you want to reflect a little bit about that. What do you think are the biggest risks from what we know?
Yeah, well, data breaches is certainly the audience, picked up a very good point because, sometime, will, again, the privacy concerns are, very important in terms of AI applications. So sometimes decisions are not really transparent and accountable also, right? So we don't know whether we utilize these AI technologies and maybe our data. So these poses some questions, right? Are we really sure? Can we trust these technologies, or our data are going to be spread out and go to third parties? So there are some. It's good to be prudent in this regard. I would say that I see that the audience was not very concerned about inclusiveness, but I have to say a few words about that. It's very important to be concerned, to be more inclusive, and maybe also as a woman, to be also. We are talking right now about gender AI, right? So we need to include also gender, like we need to include women and girls in the picture, because otherwise we will always have the results from data which are biased, right? So it's important to reduce the gender biases and inequalities, but not only about gender, may also be about age, maybe about location, right? So in some locations, it's much easier to get data rather than other locations. But we will have to take that into consideration whenever we have also to run an evaluation. So it's a limitation, actually. So I would, suggest to the audience also to reflect a little bit about the importance of inclusiveness, in a broader perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. These are really good points, Laura. And I'm also surprised, especially knowing that a lot of our audience today are from what we call the Global South, which when people talk about inclusivity and such, this is often referred to for these countries. Interesting, but the data doesn't lie. And if we later we'll have also time for people to ask more questions and to reflect. Noema, what do you think? Should we proceed for the next step?
Yeah, I would like you to proceed, and I'll just ask you to keep it a little bit short because I see we have quite a number of questions so that you can also address the questions.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll try to keep my presentation short and talking a little bit about the practical sides. So tell me when you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Noema, give me a thumbs up. Amazing. So this is just a reminder for everybody about Rural Census, what we are. We are an organization that in the past 7 years, we worked on impact measurement, started as a consultancy company, and step by step, we automated the full process of doing impact measurement to save resources and to increase the quality, and to allow organizations that maybe don't have teams of impact evaluation managers to still do impact evaluation and impact measurement in the best possible way. So this is what we are. And as part of what we do, we try to combine the artificial intelligence with the human intelligence, because this is really where the magic happens. But we are not here to talk too much about the benefits, but we also here to talk about the risks, and Laura shared them really well. I want to summarize a little bit from my perspective, what's the actual guidelines, I'd say, the basic 2 rules or warnings when it comes to AI with impact measurement. Warning number 1, never share sensitive information with ChatGPT or other commercial AI tools. For 2 reasons. First, any sensitive information, we know that sometimes the companies are using themselves to train the models to improve them. So it's not even, and with the privacy policy, it's not always protecting the data that we share from them seeing it. But also there have been breaches, documented breaches, that information that was shared was accidentally provided to a different user. So a user came and asked a question about, can you write this email for me? And what they got was an Excel of salaries of that someone else uploaded. So we don't want that to happen. So we need, so we never share sensitive information with ChatGPT or a commercial AI tool. I want to make the distinction between commercial AI tools and enterprise-grade AI. So when I say commercial AI tools, I'm talking about ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and all that. That they cannot guarantee us privacy protection, bias mitigation, etc. But there are other organizations that are using also these models, but wrapping them and protecting them with much more safeguarding and much more anonymization and safeguard methodologies to make sure that it is not shared. So this is what I mean when I say commercial AI tools versus enterprise-grade AI. The second warning is about the other side. So if one part is about what we share, the other part is about what we receive from the AI. And here the warning is always to review the outputs of the AI before sharing. We know there is the concept of hallucinations, and we know that a lot of time the AI will not give us the exact thing that we want, and will sometimes answer really wrong things. And this is especially organizations that are working with vulnerable communities or with sensitive information should be very, very careful in just sharing AI output without reviewing it before. I like to give the example of a knife, that a sharp knife in the hands of a chef can make delicious food, but in the hands of an unexperienced child, it can cause damage and it can cause harm. So this is also why we as professionals, as male professionals, we need to get the expertise and the knowledge of how to use this sharp knife. Okay, now I want also to share a little bit. So about the first concern of data protection, we at Rural Census, as part of the entire suite of tools, we bring ways to mitigate that. And key part of it is anonymization. So what I'm going to share with you now is a live demonstration of our anonymization tool. So for that, I will ask you, Noemia, to tell me what's the name of your why do you like your job? Or what do you like about your job?
Okay, I'll put it in general. I love what I do because I know that at the end of the day, it makes a difference in other people's lives. So if I can make a difference in people's lives in one way or another, that is the most important thing for me.
Okay, amazing. So you just shared something with me, something personal, a qualitative insight about yourself. And let's just say, for the sake of the demonstration, that you accidentally also shared your name or some personal information about yourself. So you accidentally said, my name is Noemia, and I live in Luanda. And what I love about what I do, and what I love, I love what I do. Okay, so let's, for the sake of this argument, let's say that. And then I click annotate. This button basically, oops, yeah, here, Hope it worked. Yeah. Beautiful. So what we see here quite fast is an analysis, AI analysis of the qualitative response you provided. So it's talk about caring for others, about self-worth, about personal performance. And every part of it that is personal information was deleted. And instead, we still keep the name, the category. So we know we talked about the name and we talked about the place, but it's hidden. And why this is valuable? So first, we know that one of the biggest values of AI for impact measurement is when it comes to qualitative data. The ability to now actually let people speak and for us to analyze it. And we saw in projects that we presented last time, thousands of responses from farmers in Uganda and Kenya that were provided and analyzed in a click of a button. So we can really understand that. But the biggest risk with qualitative data is that it's very hard to protect it from personal information to be exposed. And what we see here is on one hand, we get the benefits of quality of data analysis, but we minimize the risk of analysis of a data breach, data privacy breach. All the information. So how do we do that? How is this personal information deleted? It's basically done also with AI algorithms, but not with any third party. So no AI, no personal information is shared with ChatGPT or OpenAI or Claude, etc. It's using basically proprietary NLP algorithms that are not leaving the machine itself, basically our servers, and remove it before we do any analysis outside our servers. So ultimate protection. That's one thing. So here we talked about the challenge of data protection, but we also shared another challenge, the challenge of trusting the results. So for that, I want to share another part of the screen, which is this screen. So this is, those of you who were with us in the previous episode, we showed the platform, how you can build a theory of change, basically an impact model of a project using AI. But the one thing we didn't really talk too much about last time is about the labels and the part of where the AI comes in and where the human comes in. So I want to show again the example of outcomes. What I see here, so this is an example project that's called Water for All. And I see the AI provided, yeah?
Someone is saying they can't see your screen. I can see it from my end. I would just like to know if others can see the screen because I can see it from my end. Please let me know in the chat if you're able to see the screen.
Okay, wonderful. I see most people can see. The person that cannot see, we also share the recording so you can see what you missed after. Thank you. So now we're in the part of, do we trust AI? So in our platform, there is a button that's called Start with AI. And what it does, it suggests, it basically reviews similar projects to my project and suggests to me what are probably the outcomes of my project. Basically, if my project is Water for All, and this particular one is about giving water access to households in Zambia, it does its own research to see what other similar projects are out there and suggests outcomes that happen in other projects and might affect me. And this is AI generated, and I can see already two were already there, and now I'm generating a few more, and we'll see what it suggests. But I have them always with the label auto-generated. And this label does two things. First, it's awareness. It gives me as the user the ability to see this is AI generated, and now I can review it and I can decide if this is right for me or not. And here I see many more outcomes that were generated. And I can, as a user, review it, delete it, edit it as much as I want. So this is first, this label gives me the ability to determine what is man, what is machine. But also, part of what our platform does, it also gives at the end a confidence. How confident are we in this impact of this project? And we built in the functionality that if all the outcomes and everything is just auto-generated without any review of a person and without any actual real primary data behind it, then the confidence of this project's impact is low. But if we start with AI and from here we give the project manager gives its own ideas and its own feedback, then the confidence increases, because this is the ultimate work is a man and machine, and this is what the platform can do. The last thing I will show you, just for the interest of time, is a feature that is very cool on our platform, and it's called auto-generated report. So it's basically a button that with a click of a button, the user can create an impact report. And I can share with you that when we show this feature to people that their job is to write reports, they are really excited. And they're like, wow, it's incredible. It will save us so much time now. All the work we're doing in writing and compiling, you can just in a click of a button. So I'll open it here on the side. But when we show this feature to organizations that their job is to read reports, like philanthropic foundations or impact investors, etc., when we show them, they are a bit worried, and they're like, wait, I want to know if the person, who wrote this report, is it a person or is it a machine? Because we don't want to take away the learning from the people. So for that specific reason, the reports that we're developing, and I will share now this example report, are not just giving you a report written by AI. These reports are presenting also questions and basically invitations for the person that knows the project best to reflect. So for example, here, it asks question, please reflect on whether the implementation met your expectation and share any additional insights or challenges that were not captured in the data. And basically, so the whole report is really cool, and it has, if I go all the way up, it has this nice table of content and different sections. And here I can run between sections and get also references and all the data. But throughout the report, I see invitations for learning and invitations for the person that is actually leading the project to learn, to reflect and to edit this report and to basically stimulate the part that until today, so far, only humans can do, which is the part of the learning and the part of the synthesis of the data. But all the part of bringing all the numbers together, putting them in the right format, and aggregating the results, and using the same template that the donor likes, all of this part is already been taken care of by the AI. So we think this is a great message, basically, for all the impact measurement professionals, that the best work is man and machine together, the artificial intelligence together with the human intelligence. So with that, I will end here. And I'll give it back to you, Noemia. And if there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Yao. Thank you for the presentation. The message that we've been bringing from the first session is participatory AI. You know, like AI is a partner, not the end game, not the, you know, like we're not letting it out there to do the work for us, but it is a partner. But then looking at everything that Laura said and what you have said, Yao, the report generation and everything that we're doing, I think one would ask to say, where do we draw the line between automation and the human expertise when we're doing impact evaluation? Where do we just, you know, draw the line?
Laura, what are your thoughts?
Okay, yes. Well, I think that, again, like AI for me is a tool, right? So we use it to refine our work. So we may want to use AI applications, for example, in evaluation whenever you wanted to write a report. And this was a beautiful example of, reporting, opportunities. But then I strongly encourage you to review, and review again. So, we want to maintain a human oversight. We want also to reflect on what AI has produced. Maybe, there are some also component suggestions which might inspire some ideas. For instance, we may want to use AI for the conceptualization of evaluation recommendations, right? AI will review what we have inputted as what is the process, what is the problem, what are the objectives, the activities, and then will draw the recommendations from that. But they may also miss something that only human intelligence can pick up, right? Because we know the cultural differences. We know the context better. We think also from an emotional intelligence side of the of work. So, and also a suggestion I would like to provide to the audience is also double checking the data. And because sometimes also the numbers may not be correct. So sometimes maybe we may receive, especially on financial data, we see that the outcomes from AI tools may not necessarily be accurate. And I also liked your point about your presentation about anonymization. And we use that, for example, for financial disbursements for funding, right? So some organization may want to fund a project, but they may not want to disclose their financials necessary. So again, like human oversight is important, not to go to share with everybody the data, as soon as we receive them, but also make sure that we anonymize some data whenever they are not, for public consumption. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I see a few questions in the chat, and also Patience raised hand. So Patience, would you like to ask a question or to say something? Okay, Patience, if by any chance you want to ask another question, feel free to raise your hand again. But for now, let's see a few questions from the chat. So I see, how do we ensure that using commercial systems, there is no bias in the answers? So first of all, like Laura shared, not only that we cannot ensure that, we should assume there is bias. Because most of the data that commercial AI systems were built upon is biased and has all kinds of issues. So we should assume it's biased. But there are all kinds of mitigations. The easiest one is just to review everything with a critical lens and critical eye. But if we have the technical capabilities to use tools that were trained on diverse data or fine-tuned compared to diverse data, then that's also a great option. I can share that for rural census, we started 7 years ago, and the starting point was just with collecting a lot of data from the global south, from vulnerable communities. And we trained AI models on that. And that assured us that the data that we see in the analysis is less biased. There is always biases, but it's less biases than what we see in commercial tools. So that's how I would reflect to it. I don't know, Laura, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, no, I think you covered it all. So triangulation is the key in this case. Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. And I see another question, let's see, from Rebecca. Where does the information, like the name and the place, get stored in rural census examples in the anonymization process? Can you explain a little more detail how this system protects the data better than open source? So first of all, that's a really good question, Rebecca. The data is not stored at all. It's deleted completely from all the servers. And in cases where we actually, some people need to use it, then we do allocate it in dedicated servers that are outside the general project that allow access only for people with the right permission according to GDPR regulations, etc. I must say, I can give an anecdote that sometimes it actually caused problems to us. So we worked with an organization that their goal was to create safe spaces. I won't share too much, but to create safe spaces. And one of their questions was they wanted to ask if there are still places that are not there, don't feel safe. And people shared in a very open way, like, yeah, this location, this neighborhood is not safe. And in that time, our anonymization algorithm kicked in and basically deleted the names of all of these locations. So actually, when the organization came and wanted to see where the locations that are safe, they could not. So so that was a problem, that we were anonymizing too much. Today, we know how to balance it, and some questions that we know that there will be information shared, but it's not going to be personal information. We can use treat them in a special way. So yeah, but really good question, Rebecca, and thank you.
I was actually going to talk about that, yeah. To say, if you anonymize to that point where you need to, use that information, how does somebody go about it? But I'm glad that, like you said, there are risks, but we can also mitigate them. So I think that's a very good point for all of us.
Okay, and then I see two questions from Paul. Is there a way for small NGOs to tokenize and monetize the data collected? That's a very interesting question. Not so related to what we talked about today. But the short answer is yes, but it needs to be in a systemic way. But basically, we see organizations today that if they have valuable data in an anonymized way, they can share it and basically sell it, like market research or market insights. I can share, and Laura, tell me if you see also this problem that sometimes many organizations are collecting the same information in parallel, and there is some big waste of resources because the same thing, the same activity is done again. Everybody wants to check for example, the vulnerability of a certain group in a certain location or socioeconomic stuff. So in that sense, there is a potential for organizations to, if they have access to this data that is valuable for others, to also monetize on it. But I'm not aware of any like marketplace or an easy way to do that. It's more kind of case by case, but I don't know, Laura, if you're familiar with any other way.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't know any specific example, but yeah, that's true that lots of organizations are duplicating efforts, so we see that also within the UN system, being like about 48 agencies, sometime in the same location, it's very complicated to really draw the line and say, okay, your mandate ends here, and then my mandate starts there, right? So that's why there are these interagency efforts in place, right? So we will try to streamline the data collection process within the UN system. And also, something that is also important is open source data. So whenever there are platforms and data are already available out there, so your organization may not want to duplicate the effort and also waste the resources, unless you have a specific ask, that you need to address. That's thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Laura. And I see Paul is already having ideas about opening a marketplace for Global South development data. There are free public data sources, but not the marketplace. So not that I'm aware of, at least. So yeah, Paul, maybe this is your new project. Go for it. I see two questions. Let's see, a question from Eric. AI is the best tool to be used whenever it is when it's well trained, and different users are feeding it different information from different paradigms. How this will be mitigated to have unbiased data provider. So I think we already answered that. I think there is no unbiased AI. I like to think about it sometimes like a newspaper. There is no unbiased newspaper. Every newspaper have a little bit of their political side. But what can help us is, first of all, being aware of the bias and understand that and being aware. And as much as possible, try to put safeguards and, like we said, maybe use tools that are fine-tuned or trained using more diverse data sets. And I look forward for the next, we see AI models coming from the United States, coming from China. I'm looking for the next model to come maybe from Africa, from Latin America, to show models that are truly built on diverse data. So that will be our true win for the sector. But in the meantime, we really need to be cautious and to review, like all the things Laura shared before, all the best practices. Laura, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, no, I think that from a multilateral perspective, so it's important to make sure that to be unbiased is like to invite different stakeholders together, right? So we hear multiple. That's what we do what happens at the UN, right? As a global convener, so we bring together different perspectives. So they will realize whether they are biased or not in the room by talking and sharing good practices, lessons learned. So that's also the idea, right? To put everybody in the same space, to build the capacity around AI and new technology. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I think we'll stop here because of the time. Maybe one last thing from Rebecca. Should participants in interviews be able to make an informed decision on you selling the data? It's theirs. Okay, yeah. Rebecca, you should join Paul in this new project and to make sure it's ethical and everything is done in consent. Great idea. I think there's a lot more to discuss. I would highly recommend continuing this conversation because it's a very interesting idea. Back to you, Noemia, maybe to wrap up and talk about the next episode. And of course, to thank Laura for a wonderful contribution.
Yeah, thank you so much, Laura, for taking the time to come and be with us today in this session. Like I said, it's one of those conversations that we should have. I mean, there's a lot of talk on ethics in the evaluation sector. So we need to be talking about these things. We need to, share notes on what is working and what is not working. It's only then that we can have models that are less biased and, like we've been talking about, inclusiveness. That's when we're going to reduce that gap that is there. So I want to thank you so much, Laura, for coming today. And also thank you, Yao, for the presentation, for presenting what we do as Rural Census. And to the participants also for your contributions, for your insight, for your questions, for the comments on the polls, the pre-survey. Want to thank you so much for taking time to do those things. And I just want to inform you that we are having our last session next week, Thursday. It feels like we just started yesterday. I want the sessions to continue, it feels like we just started yesterday. So we thank you so much for being with us on this journey. Our idea is to ensure that, the use of AI, in as much as it is providing with us a lot of benefits, but we also understand the downfalls, the risks that we've done today, and also know how we can mitigate those risks. So we want to make the information out there. So thank you so much for coming today. Next week, we're talking about the future. All these insights that we've had from the first session to today, the third session, we want to talk about the future. What is the future of AI in impact measurement? Are we at a place where most evaluators are able to use AI? Or what is there in the future for us? So come and join us in that conversation. Your insight is very valuable. So we want to hear from you in that session. We'll share the invite through the email, but also maybe we can just have it. Thank you so much, Yo. So we're talking about the future of AI in M&D next week. We have good speakers also that are going to come in that session that are going to share a lot of valuable insights. So look out for that session and do not miss it. Yeah, can you share the next slide? Yeah, so like I mentioned, we're going to share the link, but you can scan the QR code just to register in advance for that session. We'll send individual emails with invites to that session. We look forward to having you. From all of us at Real Senses, we say thank you so very much. If it is morning, enjoy the rest of the day. If it's afternoon, enjoy your lunch. If it's evening, have a good night. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Noemi.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.